or sense of smell. If there was a bowl of soup sitting right in front of you, would you be able to pick out all the ingredients on scent alone? Well, if you're a dog, then this is easy for you. Their sense of smell is 10,000 times stronger than ours. I'm credible to give this speech because I've researched many sources and articles written by many researchers and scientists. Although dogs are amazing, people still don't use them to their full potential. Detection dogs are a better resource than machines for detection work because of their high intelligence, number of olfactory cells, and their natural build for detection. Humans and dogs have worked together for a long time, and the latter does not get enough credit. In the article, For the Love of Dog by Adam Pure, Adam McLosey, an ethnographer, is quoted as stating, "Dogs are smart enough to survive in a human family, which is actually quite a complicated task." Dogs are able to build and establish relationships with another species. This is a very challenging thing to do, yet dogs have proven successful. Their relationship is similar to that of a parent and a child. Now we use them for many different things, including detection work. Dogs are top resources used by law enforcement agencies for detecting items. They detect from people to USB drives to ammunition. They're trained from 2 to 6 months depending on their level of skill. They're worked and trained to smell on a chemical level. How are dogs able to do all this? Their sense of smell isn't magical. It comes from their high count of olfactory cells. I'll now tell you what an olfactory cell is and why it's so important in helping our canine friends. These cells are what give us our sense of smell and determine how precise it is. They are located in your nasal cavity. In Quingo Wai's article, Sex and Age-Related Differences in CFOS Expression in Dog Olfactory Bulbs, she states, olfactory bulb is an important organ in the olfactory system of vital importance for processing and encoding of olfactory information and conducting it to the olfactory center of the brain. This plays a huge part in everything sense of smell. Dogs have 200 million of these cells, while humans only have 50 million. That explains why dogs outdo us in the scent game. Researchers are working on a new piece of technology called a detection system, and these systems are 200 times more sensitive than that of a dog's nose, and that would be roughly 40 billion olfactory receptors if it had any. Let's look more into these machines and find out how dogs are better. A group at MIT has been working on this machine to try to replicate dogs' abilities involving scent. The machine detects microbial and chemical substances in the air with a more powerful sensitivity than a dog. The scientists have also created a miniaturized version of this machine. Despite all the upsides, it's still missing one thing. Dogs have been trained to detect many different types of diseases in people. While only being trained to detect one, they have figured out how to be able to detect many others without the excessive training. This pattern is what's been eluding our scientists to this day. The author, Chandler, of Toward a Disease-Sniffing Device That Rivals a Dog's Nose, spoke with an MIT scientist who said these dogs can identify cancers that don't have any identical biomolecular signatures in common, nothing in the odorants. As far as we people know, these odors have nothing in common, yet dogs are able to connect something within them. This is something that the systems cannot do. Now that you understand how scent systems and detection dogs work, you can see some cons that may have risen in my speech. Dogs take time and money to train, and they can make more mistakes than a machine, and machines can be made to do exactly what you want. All of these are fair arguments, but each one has an answer and a response. The MIT scientist from earlier, Andreas Mershon, stated, but in terms of interpreting those molecules, it is 100% dumber. We do not fully understand what the dogs are able to connect in these, so how are we able to put it into a machine and have it do the same? Each sample test for these machines costs around $1,000. Yes, it also costs a lot of money to train dogs too, but many organizations that use these dogs qualify as a 501c. That means that they are a nonprofit. 501c's are able to ask for grants from businesses, and then businesses get to use it as a tax write-off, so they're more than willing to help. This is how the funding for the dogs is achieved. Another challenge produced by my speech is error. Dogs do not have a 100% success rate. An article I researched called Report Drug Sniffing Dogs Are Wrong More Often Than Right looked into this further. The Chicago Tribune looked at many cases involving dogs. They found that 44% had correct indications, leaving 54% incorrect. A professor from Auburn University who studies detection found the issue. Peralta quoted the professor, Lawrence Myers, stating, "Dog handlers can accidentally cue alerts from their dogs by leading them too slowly or too many times around a vehicle. The dogs are not at fault here, it is their poorly trained handlers." The last argument that can be made is how people can engineer a machine to do exactly what they want. You can get the same effect with breeding dogs. In Elodie Ferrando and Christopher Dahl's article titled "An Investigation on the Olfactory Capabilities of Domestic Dogs, Canis lupus familiaris," they stated dog breeds selected for olfactory tasks, scenting breeds, and wolves perform better in detecting one of 4 pots baited with a food reward than short-nosed and non-scented breeds. Another article, "Explosive Detection Dogs, a Perspective from the Personality Profile, Selection, Training Methods, Employment, and Performance to Mitigate a Real Threat," by Antonio de Miranda Nogales, says, certain dog breeds, such as sniffer hounds, were intentionally bred for their exceptional ability to hunt and track using olfactory cues, possibly related to their high number of olfactory neurons. These results show us that actively working dogs and working breeds perform better overall than non-working breeds. This quote is from The Role of Life, History, and Familiarity in Performance of Working and Non-Working Dogs, Canis lupus familiaris, in A Point Following Task by Josephine McCartney and David Livens. These certain characteristics can be found in many different dogs, making them more ideal for search and detection work. Specific dogs may dominate the field, but that doesn't mean that any dog can be trained. This leads me back to my thesis. Detection dogs are highly intelligent, better at interpreting molecules, can be bred for wanted characteristics, and have an insane amount of olfactory cells, making them more useful for detection work than a sense system. In a world full of technology, let us always remember the power of man's best friend, with their loyal sniffers and forever wagging tails. Thank you for listening to my speech.